Day 537 of the Galactic War. In this report, we mark the return of Claorell to the light of democracy. For nearly a week, Helldivers held the line through frost, fire, and despair, until the impossible became inevitable. The Major Order, once deemed unwinnable, has been fulfilled. Not by mercy, but by the will of those who refused to quit. The price was high, the hour was late, but liberty endures.
Sending down support weapon.
Initiating FTL jump to the Claorell system.
This is Lord Battleman, Hell Commander of Omega Squad in high orbit over Claorell. The real story today isn't the Major Order, it's Claorell. For 6 days, over 20,000 Helldivers held the line on the frozen front. Day after day, fighting an uphill battle with no spotlight, no speeches, no incentives. While the broader attention was focused on urban architecture developments in 3 new security cities, Claorell veterans stayed locked in a brutal combat. And now, after the heartbreak of our last attempt, we've taken it back. Claorell is liberated. Ironically, it was the final push of the Factory Striders, part of the larger order, that finally gave us the density of force required to tip the balance. Which brings us to the Major Order. It began with ambition. 20 million Shriekers, 12.5 million Impalers, 6.25 million Factory Striders, and the notorious 3.75 million Leviathans. A daunting list, even for the most zealous Helldiver. And as days wore on, the results spoke for themselves. Morale waned, deployment dipped, and the kill count stalled. But in the last 72 hours, something shifted. 3 stratagems appeared across the board. Each time we finished one, we were issued an opportunity to increase our firepower. The Leviathan count was adjusted. Striders began showing up in greater force. The impossible slowly became achievable. This wasn't just a challenge. I think it was a test. A test of will, of coordination, and perhaps how closely we follow the numbers. Right when the embers of morale were burning out, the conditions changed. We won, but not solely through our grind or grit. We won because someone decided it could be won. A gentle reminder then, we operate in a live environment, and we're always being observed. But do not mistake this report. The final push, the impossible surge that crushed 6.25 million Striders, was made real by the courage of Helldivers across the galaxy. From the frozen siege of Claorell to the darkest front lines, it was the core that carried this victory. Not by accident, not by luck, but by choosing to fight in spite of the impossibility of this Major Order. We reminded the galaxy that Helldivers don't wait for permission to do the impossible. We act, we adapt, we endure. Now, Claorell stands liberated, the Major Order complete, and the next front already underway. The bot divers made their way to Vog-Sujoth. This frozen wasteland has heavy automaton entrenchment, a fresh 0% start. Not ideal terrain, but they're not strangers to ice and attrition. Meanwhile, the bug divers have zeroed in on Acrid 3. Currently leading with over 71% of the vote and 16,000+ help boots already on the ground. Progress is slow but steady at 14.7% liberated with a low resistance, and perhaps more importantly, the DSS is now in orbit. This changes everything. The DSS was instrumental in the final hours of Claorell. Its tactical support, reinforcement, and layered orbital presence were critical in sealing the victory on Claorell. Now that it's shifted to Acrid, as of this transmission, Eagle Storm and Orbital Blockade are both 75% funded, online in about 12 to 13 hours. Once they activate, bug defenses will crumble faster, so if you're waiting for orders, don't. The next fight is already here, and the tools are in motion. So you have to choose between Acrid 3. We can get this to 20,000 plus. We could have a really good shot at getting this before the next Major Order drops. And as they were working on the Tanis sector. Bog Sajoth has 11,000 currently here. You can choose to go here. It's got a pretty decent resistance at 1.67%, so more boots on the ground will be helpful. Unfortunately, as you can see, a lot of the bot divers have spread out and are dividing their attention amongst many fronts. I think it would be better if everybody landed on Bog Sajoth. So where do we go from here? As I stand on the bridge of my ship, Arbiter of Wrath, over the scarred surface of Claorell, I admit, I felt what many of you did. This major order, on paper, was impossible. 3.75 million Leviathans? They don't even spawn enough to even warrant that many. All internal projections said 4 months to complete this at our current rate. For 3 days, Omega Squad, my commanders, my allies, my members, asked the same questions. What were they thinking? The reward? Not weapons, not warfront momentum, but 3 new secure cities. Built for not the bugs, bots, or squids, new defense to protect them from invasion, but for internal dissidents to make people feel better. And as always, the adjustments came late, quietly, strategically. One by one, the dominoes fell. Flesh mob, shriekers, impalers, all paired with generous stratagem drops. Which is a nice thing. It would be nice for them to tell us that that was going to happen, but not either way, a nice surprise. Was that enough alone to overcome the obstacle? No, but it helped. Was that an adjustment as part of the plan all along, or was that a realization that the numbers they put out there were well beyond impossible for us to ever achieve? We don't know. Then came the final adjustment, the one we all knew was coming. The Leviathan's requirement was halved, from 3.75 million down to 1.5 million. And the Leviathan surged on some squid planet, and then Striders surged on Claorell. Even that wasn't enough. 1.5 million still at this point was impossible to get. Until the final hour, final day, they halved it again. 700,000, 750,000, whatever it was. So the impossible became possible. And we were sitting in a dark tunnel with no light at it, and they finally gave us that light. And we did it. The Helldiver Corps rallied, and we won the day. Down to the final hour. But for 5 or 6 days, especially the first 3, I saw morale crack. I saw my morale crack. My desire to play, to look at the major order and go do something about it, it waned. Probably the first time since I started playing this game. People were off to play other games. People logged off. I had a plan to do a mid 3-day report, but I scrapped it. I think trust wore thin. So I asked, the way they rolled this out, what was the actual cost of this? These filler orders may move the war forward on paper. It may bring their narrative to life. But the way they rolled this out feels off. Like they drained credibility from themselves. And that drain from Super Earth or Arrowhead, it should not be underestimated. But still, a salute to all of us. We chose to fight anyways. I chose to log in. I dove on Foray Prime for the Stalwart. I dove onto Claorell for the Factory Striders. I dove Taunt Whales and Leviathans. So we chose to fight anyway. And in that choice, There's a deeper victory. And no scoreboard to measure here. Anyways, this is Lord Battleman with Omega Squad, Hell Commander of the 301st Tricon Battalion, signing off over Claorell, and I'll see you on the next one.
The path was unclear, the objective twisted in silence. But when the moment came, we answered. Not because it was easy, not because it was fair, but because we are Helldivers. And even when leadership falters, we do not. Log the footage, burn it into the archives. Let future recruits know what it means to fight when no one else will. And if you forget to distribute this report, I'll personally drop into your barracks with a fully charged railgun and no questions. For liberty, for democracy, for freedom, we fight until the last drop falls.